Chaga Tea. I'm Fiona Barrett. I'm a health coach and creator of Supernatural Lipstick. And I'm here today with my co-host Roberta, who's the author of Good Boy Jesse. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing really well.
We have a amazing local superhero special guest Christopher Swain with us today. How are you today? Welcome.
Doing pretty well, thank you.
We are thrilled and we're really excited to share Christopher with our viewers because he has an amazing mission in life that he's been doing for the last 10 years, I believe. Mm-hmm. Why don't you share with us? He's helping us clean up our waterways and ethical recycling. So let's hear from you, Christopher. What does that mean?
Well, according to my sister Amanda, that means that I swim and poop, right? Because I do all this environmental education, but it's water-based. So I'll swim the entire length of a river or a lake, and I'll use that as a platform to do education about clean water. I'm working my way down the East Coast from the Canadian border to Washington, D.C. On that, the point of it is to help two things, the ocean to come alive to the kids, but also for them to understand in the classroom some of the issues that are going on out there. And we focus on two areas, climate change, and we're not going to get into that right now, right? But pollution would be the other one.
Yeah.
And pollution we teach about in two parts. So it's the pollution you can see, the trash on the beach, that's easy, the plastic bags in the ocean. And then the other part is the pollution you can't see. So the toxic chemicals and the heavy metals. So the way the recycling fits into what I'm doing is that we help, particularly the younger kids, make tangible the idea of the pollution you can't see by helping them understand that inside the TVs and the iPhones and all these things are heavy metals and toxic chemicals that if you threw those things away could get loose in the environment. In other words, if they were in a dump, they cracked open, it rained, they're going to wash into the nearest big lake or into the ocean.
Yeah,
so it's a way to make that come alive. So if you do a recycling event, you pile up a huge pile of the things in the school parking lot, that can support kids in chemistry class or biology class who are sort of piecing together like how the periodic table and the things that they're learning there actually connect to their experience of the health of the ocean. It's sad because I think there is a design problem at the core of it. And I'm sure in a generation or two it will seem silly that we make things out of molecules that can harm life, or that we build things that we can't completely take apart, reuse, and recycle somehow. But the place we're in now, that wasn't what the cultural mores were when, our old TV was manufactured. But I think the day will come, probably with, my children or grandchildren, their generation, where it will look really silly that we ever thought it was a great idea to manufacture things that could have endangered our lives or the lives around us.
And the planet.
Right. Where does it go when we ethically and environmentally take care of all of
One of the things I did, working with some of the teachers and other folks at the beginning, was recognize that there was no set of standards that you could look at to understand what would be the best outcome for electronics through their life cycle from cradle to grave. So we wrote a code of ethics, the Electronic Waste Code of Ethics, and ended up being it is now the highest set of standards in the world for the life cycle of those electronics. So where do they go? We pay recyclers that have gone through the ban audit to become e-stewards and that have survived our site visits to hit those standards. So we charge money when people come. We have them pay by the pound so that we have the money to pay recyclers that we've checked out that have made it through those audits to actually hit those standards. And what we're looking for is the best environmental and human rights. If somebody offers to take your old TV for free, that's not going to come to a good end because they don't have the money to pay to take that apart and care for it. Another way to say it would be 80% of the used electronics, give or take, do leave the country if you're in America. So they end up on the ground in Asia and Africa. So that would mean on the human rights side, basic things like, no child labor should be part of this process. No prison labor should be part of this. There's other human rights concerns, like if I dump a bunch of toxic stuff in your village, I am going to affect your human rights somehow indirectly. So on the environmental side, it's how do we capture toxic chemicals and heavy metals? How do we make sure that they're safely captured? And for me, as a swimmer, that's the incentive is really clear. I don't want to swim in dirty, contaminated water. I can go ask my recycler, what became of the glass in those TV screens that had powdered lead put in it when it was molten glass so it could block the radiation? I can go find out. And, you know, when they pay, which they have to do, you know, someone to melt that glass and separate that lead, I want to know how that happens. So that's what we're doing here. So basically saying, look, we've got this stuff, it's going to make a mess, and part of that mess is going to affect the oceans, which I care about a lot. Not that I don't care about other things, but, you know, that's my area.
Yeah.
So let's capture that, and then let's use it as a teaching tool to show kids.
What inspired you to take on this mission?
I always loved the water when I was little, but honestly I had no idea what I was going to do, you know, until I was 33 years old. So I did things, right? You know, I went to college, I went to graduate school, I was trained as an acupuncturist, all these very interesting things. But the first thing that really grabbed hold of me in a way that I'd be willing to put my life on the line for it in the career thing was the water. So as someone who always loved the water, I felt that if I was going to advocate for rivers and lakes and oceans or whatever, that in order to do that from a credible, honest place, I would need to get into those bodies of water. I would need to anchor that experience by being in there. I don't feel like it's right for me to say, talk to you about the let's say the sewage issues or the runoff from Salem's storm drain, since you're in your Salem studio today, into the ocean, right? If I haven't swum your coastline and experienced that, did swim through the ocean that touches your community. So I've been, you know, immersed, for lack of a better word, in the issue. And then I feel like from that place I can advocate and I can share my experience. So that's how it started there. And I think the love of the water, like any kind of love thing, love's what drives you to do crazy things, right? I mean, people don't pick their cars up off their children because it's a good idea, right? If the, you know, in the urban myth of the mom picking up the car off the child, right? They do it because of love. They do it because of strong feelings.
Yes.
So that's what drives me forward. I'm not driven by some intellectual agenda. Those people are working at computers and cubicles, right? I'm getting wet.
So if someone's watching this show and they're inspired by you, which I can imagine they will be, what's one thing that you would share with them if they had their mission that they wanted to step into?
Here's what I would say. It's got to come from love. So if you aren't wanting to do something that's connected into your heart somehow, then it's probably not going to have legs. It's probably not going to go far. I think motivation, if you look at the root of the word, it's the same root as in the word emotion. It has to be connected to that. So you're in the terrain of the heart. So I remember when I was younger, people saying to me all sorts of things, trying to give me advice. And one of the pieces of advice I got was, you know, lots of things are going to catch your eye. Very few things catch your heart. If you can find the difference, should put your energy into those things.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least in the United States, recycling doesn't have a statutory meaning. So when someone tells you they're going to recycle something, you don't know what they're telling you. It's not clear what's going to happen. So this isn't maybe the most fun homework, but it's worth finding out what becomes of your recycling. Ask where it goes.
Right. It's not enough just to recycle it.
If you are truly interested, ask a few more questions. And the fun part of it could be the field trip, right? I mean, if you end up going to one of those mixed recycling facilities, it is kind of cool to see the process.
Well, we love you, Christopher, and we want to thank you for being our guest today.
Well,
and
thanks for having me on your
love
show.
to share some Chaga tea with you.
Okay, so.
And we love everyone who watches our show, and thank you for continuing to do that. And we look forward to bringing you more shows and hearing your comments too.
Here you go. And thank you so much, really.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, here's
Yeah,
to recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Healthy ocean.
Yeah.